Hey guys, I'm Giving back here for the video. Guys, today we'll be talking about my final locks going into tonight's Monday Night Football game between the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets. Now, let's be honest, I don't think anyone expected last night to go the way it did. How the Giants absolutely got blown out in that game by, what was it, 35 nothing? It was insane. I mean, it was a shutout, which, again, no one expected that game to go the way it did. It got out of hand very quickly with a blocked field goal. And of course, they also had a pick six. So the defense last night was the thing to go with. If you went with the Dallas Cowboys defense captain spot, they were an absolute monster defense, which is ironically enough because I actually talked about yesterday. In one of my final locks, I think in my final locks video, I talked about how I used the Eagles defense before in an Eagles Cowboys game, and it was actually the Eagles defense that won me a lot of money because they actually had a fumble for six at the end of the game. Well, the Cowboys actually had two defensive touchdowns, and again, if you use them as your captain spot, you went off. Now, I will say overall wise, I am not going to be using the Bills or the Jets defense in this upcoming game as my captain spot. I know you might want to say, well, last night this happened. I get that, but the Giants already had no offense going into that game. They have no receivers. They had Darren Waller. That was it. They have Saquon Barkley. That was it. Daniel Jones wasn't that good. And the Cowboys had a great defense going into that game. This game's not going to be like that. This game, you have two really great offenses in the Bills and a great offense in the Jets. So I'm not going to be using either defense as my captain spot. I know you might want to just for the thrill of it after what happened last night. But you got to keep in mind when it comes to DFS, especially DFS, never chase points. Never chase a scenario that just happened in real life and then try to replicate it in the next game. It's never going to work. People do it all the time. People are like, oh, wow, last week I saw this team, they ran the ball 6,000 times and they were busting away touchdown runs. So then they load up on the running backs. And they load up on that, concept. And that's how they sell themselves that they're going to make all this, money because of the fact that last week this happened. Then what ends up happening is they end up throwing the ball all game long and destroying teams through the passing game. And then they're sitting there like, wait, why didn't I make any money? Because you followed what happened last week. What happened last week is not this week. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So starting off right away, my captain spot, I've been going back and forth on so many freaking players for this game. Unlike, previous games yesterday when it came to, injuries or limited snap counts. Not too many players really got limited snap counts as much. But especially when it comes to injuries, I was kind of like hesitant with a lot of these guys. But for this game, I'm not hesitant at all. There's so many different players I love in this game. And I think could absolutely go off. I'm going Garrett Wilson, though. I'm going Garrett Wilson, my captain spot. I'm trying to find a way as much as humanly possible to try to get these three guys in my lineups. It's going to be very difficult to get these three in your lineup the way I have it scheduled or set up here. Because if you do it the way I have set up here, then you're probably going to put Israel in there. And then you're probably going to have to put in Latavius Murray. And I don't love that. And I really... It's an interesting situation because at the end of the day, I believe Garrett Wilson will be the guy who wins the captain spot this tonight. But at the same time, though, you're really... Not only are you chalking your lineup, because I guarantee you there's going to be at least a million lineups that have this exact same combination I have on screen right here. Maybe not with these two players at the end, but these four, a lot of people are going to be stacking that up. And you're also leaving Breece Hall in the field, who currently is questionable against the Bills. Keep that in mind. But he is expected to play, and he will have a full workload if he does play. James Cook, Dalvin Cook, Gabe Davis, Alan Lazard. I don't really like Alan Lazard for this matchup. So again, like I said, there's a lot of players who are leaving on the field. So how I'm kind of looking at this, right, is, okay, so if Garrett Wilson goes off in this game, right, it does not mean 1,000% I need Aaron Rodgers in my lineup, right? Because we talked about this before many times. Just because your receiver goes off does not mean your quarterback's going to go off. So, for example, Garrett Wilson in this game could have 100 yards. Let's say he had 100 yards on 8 receptions, okay? So that's 18 points right there. And he has 2 touchdowns, okay? That's 4 points for the yards for Aaron Rodgers. That's 2 touchdowns with his 8 points, right? That's 12 points right there. The receptions, you don't get points for. Garrett Wilson right there just had, 12 plus 18? 30 points for the night. Rodgers, off of just that, got 12 points. Rodgers doesn't do anything the rest of the game. They run the ball. They play conservative. You lose the night because it doesn't matter you had the captain that went off. Your quarterback, he only gets 1 point every 25 yards. 4 points for a touchdown. 0 for receptions. Keep that in mind. So, I'm actually finding myself not using Aaron Rodgers that much in my lineups. I like Josh Allen, though, just because, again, the goal line situations with him. He's going to get goal line carries. He's going to throw the ball a lot in this game. And if the Jets can move the ball against this Bills defense and score very quickly, it's going to become a shootout very quickly. All right, so give me Stephon Diggs. I like him in this game. He's going to see a lot of Sauce Gardner, but I'm not too scared of that. I'm not really too interested in the running back situation. I know I talked about Breece Hall is going to play, but I don't know how they're going to set this up. Listen, they just picked up Dalvin Cook. They also have, of course, Breece Hall. They also have Israel. They have so many different options there. Is Breece Hall going to be limited? Is Dalvin Cook? Are they playing the hot hand scenario? I'm not touching that. Now, again, if you want to, that could win you a lot of money if you touch it and go after it and it works out for you. I'm personally not going after that. So for the tight end, I am going Dalton Kincaid. I think he has higher upside than Dalton Knox in this game. He is their first round draft pick for a reason. And I do have Josh Allen, so I want to go ahead and kind of stack up this, combo of Stephon Diggs, Kincaid and Josh Allen here. Other options I like in this game. I don't really love too much options. I like going down this list here. The very top I love, right? And I could even stack, if I really wanted to, I could even stack this up. The problem is if I go with Gabe Davis here, and I talked about it in separate videos, but my problem then is that if you stack too many receivers up, Josh Allen has to be your guy. He has to be your captain. Because at some point, he's going to win the captain spot, right? If you stack up, let's say, 7 receivers in this game and say, like, oh, these 7 receivers on the Bills are going to do great this game, well, then at some point, how is Josh Allen not needing to be the captain? Because if all those guys go out there and put up at least, let's say, 80 yards and maybe a touchdown, some of them maybe a touchdown, some not, your quarterback's going to have a great day, right? So at some point, you're kind of just like, I should put my quarterback in my captain spot. But I'm going to kind of get away from that. See, at this price tag, especially $7,400, I kind of do want to go with, I want to go with a guaranteed, and I want to go to Hail Mary play. But there isn't really any I like in this game right now. Or any of this right here, this range. Like, I could go with this. And I wouldn't be against going with this. And keep in mind, they also have Michael Carter, so they have a lot of running backs there. But then again, if I go with how I have it set up here, I'm not going with CJ and I'm not going with Conklin together, obviously. And there's not many other options I really like at this defensive position. I'm sorry, this lower end position. So I'm almost to a point where I just might go Gabe Davis here. I might just go Gabe Davis and punt the last position and just hope something crazy happens. And that's kind of how I'm looking at it. It's just punting the position and hopefully a guy who probably will get 0 points in all honesty, hoping he just goes off and has a crazy day and maybe just falls in the end zone in one play. And again, I've done that many, many times when it comes to DFS where it's like, you're like, okay, I have all my guys I like, all my guys who I think are going to do great, and then I have one position who's either going to get 0 points or could go out there and get actually some decent points. And Jeremy Ruckert here is the third string tight end. So it's not the most beautiful lineup of all time, but I wanted to avoid as much chalk as possible while still giving myself a really good upside and a really good ceiling. I think floor-wise, we're pretty solid for this lineup. Ceiling-wise, we don't have the highest ceiling in the world, but we have a pretty good ceiling, and I like it for that reason. Tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.